Well, let's get some perspectives on this matter and the issues, talking about the jostling raised within the National Assembly and outside. We've been joined by a lawyer and the Director, African Center for Parliamentary and Constitutional Studies, Mr. Emmanuel Anyegbonam. Thank you so much for joining us in Lunchtime Politics. Let's begin by looking at what is legal and moral in line with the standard of legislative practice as well as their conventions. Can the ruling party microzone, if I might use that term, leadership positions, and if they can, or whatever your response is, what is the implication?
Well, you've used the right word, microzone. And the issue is that we are a constitutional democracy, a presidential system of government, governed by the Constitution as the ground norm or supreme law of the land. If you take a look at our Constitution, Section 2 says specifically that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land and that every other person or authority under the Federal Republic of Nigeria is subject to this Constitution. And anything contrary to it will be void. The basic constitutional provision goes to Section 14, subsection 1 to 3, where the Constitution makes it emphatically clear that Nigeria is a federation which will be governed by the principle of social democracy and social justice, and then goes on to say that the people will participate in the government. Sovereignty belongs to the people, and by the basic provision on federal character, that the government and its agency must reflect the federal character, thereby promoting national unity and commanding national loyalty,
yes,
by ensuring that there will be no predominance of any ethnic group or few states in the government or affairs of government agency, yes, throughout the country or by an ethnic group.
So some people might argue that with what you said, that it would mean that the legislature, as it is has all the zones represented, has federal character represented, yes, talking about the National Assembly.
Yes, the National Assembly is the creation of the Constitution, and every part of the country is represented in it. Then the entire government, apart from that agency, the entire government of the Federation should also reflect federal character. If Northwest has taken the presidency of the country, Northeast, as we have seen by this party permutation, has taken the presidency of the Senate. Now the vice president came from Southwest, and now Southwest taking speakership. And the equity question, which has eloquently been answered by the provision of the Constitution, projects North Central, that has never produced a speaker nor deputy speaker. Now, by the last election, if we go on investment or electoral investment, that zone produced, Niger State alone produced more votes than the entire Southwest for the presidency in that election. The same zone will now concede speakership to Southwest that has taken vice presidency, and then nobody has said anything about the Southeast. In this general configuration we came out of the party, then the equity question now comes on. What remains of the North Central with all its investment? If you are giving the deputy speaker, the Southeast is not even mentioned, South, and the rest of them. So this brings the question that the Constitution, like I said, is the supreme law of the land, and any other law that goes contrary to it, it will be null and void. There are a plethora of Supreme Court decisions from the First Republic, even the military rule. During the case of Lakomi and governor of Western Region, in military rule, the Supreme Court said no, the Constitution is supreme. Talk less of when we are in a presidential system. So the basic question now is, by equity principle, which we stand on, we are saying that every official who will swear an oath to protect, preserve, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and now ask God Almighty to help him. With what we have seen so far, it goes contrary to constitutional provision. It goes contrary
but
to equity.
What about the principle of democracy, that majority carries all, and minority can have their say, but majority gets the day?
The issue is that we are in a presidential democracy. It is not a cabinet or parliamentary system. And the Constitution, by Section 60, says that the National Assembly should be able to do what? Determine its procedures. Then the same Constitution, by Section 47, created the National Assembly. By Section 50, gives the elected members of the National Assembly the right and power to elect their presiding officer. This is not a party position. I repeat again, in emphatic terms, it is for the members. These are House of Representatives of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is not by any means a party affair, just like the injunction now that even the committees, which also is governed by the same Constitution. If you take a look at Section 62 of the Constitution, you will see where the National Assembly on its own will determine its committees. We are now being teleguided by party influence that other political parties will not have even any stake, because winner takes all. And we must be also in mind by Section 42 of the Constitution, like I have said, that fundamental rights that will discriminate a Nigerian by any estimation, the party should be made to understand this. Therefore, on collective whole, this position is contrary to the spirit and letters of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is our supreme law and which is our ground norm. And it is against equity. He who goes to equity must go with clean hands. And he who must do equity he who goes to equity must go with clean hands. And equity is the vigilant and not the indolent.
We'd like to thank you.
The party itself
legal
must also watch its own
Director, African Center for Parliamentary and Constitutional Studies, Mr. Emmanuel Ayengbunam. I'm sure another question a lot of people might be thinking is, who takes this matter to court then, to see what the court has to say? Well, still to come on the program, Lunchtime Politics, we'll be telling you what will be happening at the National Assembly, talking about plenary today. Please stay with us.